Hello everyone, welcome to ISIFE EDUBLOG, the platform that brings you the best in academics. Your guide on the English language, Martin Ekpa, is here with the topic, tenses. Now, tense refers to the form a verb takes to express time. The form a verb takes to express time. That's what we call tense. Now, it does not matter whether what you want to report is still ongoing. It does not matter whether it is far in the past. What matters is the choice of form in expressing it, given what time you want to discuss that thing in the light of, given the instance you want to discuss it. So in being sure that you are communicating with respect to time, you select the tense that is applicable to the time you want to report the event, whether that same event is still ongoing or not. So this is what we shall look at to guide you through the right use of tenses in the English language. Every language, of course, has its tense forms. In the English language, we talk about three: the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense. Some argue that we should be talking about future time and not future tense, but I don't agree, because tense is form. It's really not about whether we can get a future tense, as in people argue here is write, which is the present tense, here is wrote, which is the past tense, and then they will ask you what form is the future tense. But the truth is that for write to be in the future, it will have to take a form using auxiliary verbs and all that to take to reflect the future. So whatever happens, whatever you do to create the future becomes the future tense. It's not about whether there is a particular form of the verb that is future. Verbs blend with others to give you the future tense. So we have three tense forms on the board: the present, the past, and the future. Now, we shall look at the present tense first. All of this will be treated, but of course, one at a time. So the present tense is the first on in our list. Now, the present tense is used in various ways to express actions or states of the moment, right? We use the present tense in different ways to express what is happening now or what condition somebody or something is now. Now, the first way we can capture it is to subdivide it into about four, because we've said it is used in various ways. So, now the first is the simple present tense. The second is a present progressive tense, or what is popularly known as a present continuous form or tense. Then the third is a present perfect tense, the use of have, has, and had. Had is in the past, but has and have is used to form the present perfect tense. Then the present perfect progressive tense, the use of have and has with the progressive form of the main verb. So we'll look at all of this one at a time. So the first one is the simple present tense. How do we use the simple present tense? First, we use it to express habitual actions. Now, I've categorized habitual actions to mean what to do regularly, whether it is positive or negative. We know that when people talk of habits, the understanding is usually on the negative side, but I am looking at habitual action now from both the positive and the negative angle. What is it that you do regularly? That's what I mean here. Now, we have the first example. Ekpa teaches English. That is a regular action, a habitual action. Ekpa teaches English. Now, Ekpa is singular and teaches is singular. So, if the verb or the subject is plural, of course the verb will show that. What I mean is, John smokes, for instance. John is one person, but if I make it two, it will become they smoke. They smoke. Of course, go to our lessons on Concord. You will get the gist in full. So, she drives well. She drives well. That's a habitual action. John smokes, or they smoke. These are examples of the simple present tense. So, use this to form your own sentences, and then be conscious of when you use the simple present tense. It's good if you do. Now, the second thing we do with the present tense, the simple present tense precisely, is to express universal truth. To express universal truth. What do we mean by universal truth? Now, the sun rises from the east. Wherever you are in any part of the world, in whatever part of the world you are, the eastern side of your world is where the sun rises. So this is a universal, universal truth. The world is spherical. The world is spherical, proven to be so. The world is a globe shape. Okay? Dogs eat bones. These are truths anywhere in the world. So, that's one thing we do with the simple present tense. Another thing we do with it is to exclaim. We use it to exclaim. Now, this is what we mean. Here comes the teacher. You see, if you were talking of the teacher and the teacher arrives, the normal tendency is that you exclaim, and this kind of a thing could happen. Here comes the teacher in this simple present form. Again, we have who goes there. Security operatives usually ask such questions, especially when it is late. Who goes there? That's simple present tense in action. The fourth thing we do with it is to express planned activities, events planned to take place in the future. Could take this simple present tense. Yes, this is the issue now. We are looking at the future now using the simple present tense. So how do we go about this? The exams start on Monday. The exams start on Monday. So that's one way. Yes, Monday is still ahead of us. Monday hasn't come, but somebody is already saying that the exam, of course, having been planned to take off on Monday. This is correct. So he leaves first thing tomorrow. He leaves first thing tomorrow. Alright? You could add tomorrow morning if you wish. He leaves first thing tomorrow. Leaves is in the simple present form, just as start is in the simple present form. The governor visits us on 24 July. The governor visits us on 24 July. That is another example, and visits is in the simple present form. Now, we also use the simple present tense to introduce quotations. To introduce quotations, we use simple present tense. Example says, Timaya says. Says is in the simple present form. Then you bring up your quotation. Alright? The statement comes after the simple present verb. Timaya says, the world can do without the best. Alright? So, these are examples of the simple present tense as we take the present progressive tense. So, the present progressive tense is the next one, and we use it to express one, an ongoing action. An ongoing action. Of course, typical example, I am teaching. That's an ongoing action. He's going to the market. Why is Olanna crying? Because the expressions could be in question form. Why is Olanna crying? You can see that in forming the tense here, we need the ing form. And to form the ing form, to get the ing form, usually we have the auxiliary verb. Here we have am, which is a member of the verb be. Here we have is, member of the verb be, and here is another is. So you take the verb be in assistance to the main verb to create the ing form. So the present progressive form is usually the verb be plus the ing form of the main verb. The verb be, or to be, and the ing form of the main verb. That's what gives you the present continuous tense, and the examples are on the board. So let's look at the second way we use it. We use it to talk about future activities. Of course, we had talked about that using the simple present tense. Even in the present continuous tense, we also have that function of talking about what is planned to take place in the future. We are going to the village soon. We are going to the village soon. That's a typical example. She is performing on Sunday. She is performing on Sunday. So these are plans already made, and these actions will take place as expected. Okay. We use the present continuous tense or the present progressive tense to express or discuss temporary activities. Temporary activities, things happening for the moment. For now, this is the situation of the activity. Why? Now I've created it in a simple manner here. He is working at a filling station while waiting for university admission. He is working at a filling station while waiting for university admission. So you see that this job at the filling station is a temporal one. He's doing it while waiting for admission. I am writing my project at the moment. I'm writing my project at the moment. That means the project, of course, won't last forever. It's for a short while. It's concluded, and other activities continue. So when it is something that is temporal, remember that the tense can be present progressive form. Okay, next we have the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense. It is the verb have or its variant has. Remember, the verb have, whether it is in the present or in the past, takes the past participle form of the main verb. So when we use have or has with the main verb, which is in the past participle form, we will have the present perfect tense. Has and have. Don't say, have you buy it? Say, have you bought it? A lot of women ask their children, have you greeted? That is not English. Have you greeted? Have you greeted your uncle? Alright? Have you greeted your father? So don't say, have you greeted? Say, have you greeted? Have you bought the biscuit? Have you written your assignment? Not have you wrote your assignment. Another place where this mistake is rampant is with the verb drink. People will say, have you drank? Have you drank your tea? Drank is the past tense of drink and should not be used with have. The form that have will take is drunk. D-R-U-N-K is the past participle form which have or has or had can take, not drunk. Right? Have you ground the pepper? Not have you ground it or grind it. I don't know of the verb grinded in English. I know grounded. I know ground. I don't know grinded. The past tense of the verb grind, I discussed this in detail when we talked about verbs, when I taught verbs. So watch the lessons on verbs and you get this. Grind has its past tense as ground. Alright? While ground has its past tense as grounded. That's how we do this. We use the verb have or the verb has, which is the variant of has. Remember, I have, he has. That's another place of error as well. I've heard a lot of people say, your mom have. No, your mom have is not English. Your mom have come back. That's wrong. Your mom has come back. Your mom has come back. So take note of these little things that make us commit errors and see how you correct them. So, we use this to express a recently concluded action. Soludo has won the election. Soludo has won the election. The children have eaten. Recently concluded actions. We also use it to express a past action in which time is not specified. If the event happened in the past, but the time is not given, we also use the present perfect tense. Nnamdi Azikiwe has died. This took place a long time ago, sometime in 1996, if I'm not mistaken. But if the time is not given, irrespective of when it happened, use the present perfect form. Nnamdi Azikiwe has died. Okay. Many doctors have left Nigeria. The time is not specific, but a whole lot of doctors have left Nigeria in search of greener pasture elsewhere. Okay. We also use the present perfect tense to express past actions which effects are still being felt. The action is in the past, but if you look at the person that performed it, you still see that this was done. Now, I have constructed sentences to blend the effect with the action, but this will not always be the case. Alright? If you are looking at the person that performed the action, you do not need the result clause. I am tired. That is the result clause. I'm tired because I have just rounded off my third class. Alright? I have just rounded off my first class is the expression here, which is the reason why I am tired. So even if I am tired, even if this clause is not there, this sentence could still convey the idea. Why I have put it is to easily link you to why this has to be so. I have just rounded off my third class, and that's why I am tired. Okay. We also use it. Okay, there's a second sentence here, right? We are sad because we haven't been paid. We are sad because we haven't been paid. So the reason for the sadness is the lack of payment. So if you start here, we haven't been paid, that is the expression. It is the reason why we are sad. Then the last one is that we use the present perfect tense to express an action that started in the past but is still ongoing. This action started way back but is still ongoing. We use the present perfect tense to describe such events. Now, I have taught for 20 years. I have taught for 20 years. That means I have started teaching and have continued to do so and still doing so. So, and that's what that means. 20 years down the line, it is still ongoing. Now, Mary has lived in Enugu. Mary has lived in Enugu all her life. Mary has lived in Enugu all her life. This means that Mary was born in Enugu, perhaps, or came to Enugu very early, in her early years, and has lived here and is still living here in Enugu now. So Mary has lived in Enugu all her life. She's still there at the moment of speaking. So that's the present perfect tense. Our work on the present tense will continue with the present perfect progressive tense. So we conclude our work on the present tense, taking the present perfect progressive tense. It is formed by combining have or its variant has, depending on the subject, with being the past perfect form of be. Alright? The past perfect form of be is be, plus the ing form of the main verb. Now, we use it to express an action that started in the past but is still ongoing. An action that started in the past but is still ongoing. So, I have been teaching since morning. I have been teaching since morning. It started earlier and is still going on. Alright? Maybe it is already afternoon. It is afternoon, and this person has been teaching from morning hours to the time of this expression in the afternoon. So I have been teaching since morning. Have, can see, been, this, then teaching is the main verb in the ing form. She has been singing for the past 2 hours. She has been singing for the past 2 hours. Has, because we're looking at she, the third person singular form of this pronoun. So she has been singing. Now, has been singing is the main verb in the ing form for the past 2 hours. Dad has been reading newspaper. Now, I didn't add anything in the adverb form like I did past 2 hours or since morning, but it should be understood that Dad started reading this newspaper and has been reading it until the point of making this statement. Alright? Dad has been reading newspaper. It's still ongoing. So that is the present perfect progressive tense. And carefully follow these lessons as they come, because the next video will be on the past tense. Thank you so much for being a part of ISIFE EDUBLOG, and we hope to always bring you the best, provided you continue to like, to share, and as we believe you have already subscribed to keep us viable on the internet. Thank you so much for being there.